Who can say no to rainbow sprinkles? Or sweet little hearts? Let's face it, we love to color details. The more details on a coloring page or in a digital stamp, the better. But are we drawn to details like moths to a flame? This is the art of coloring. I take a fine art approach to coloring with markers and pencils. Because I don't have a card-making background and I don't work with coloring books, the methods that I use are different than those that are taught in classes at craft stores or here on YouTube. The biggest difference I see is that as an illustrator, I've been taught to draw, paint, and color from the bottom up. Meanwhile, most colorers work from the top down. And this is why so many colorers struggle to create depth, dimension, and ultimately realism. Because no matter how cute you color the details, if there's no foundation beneath them, your coloring will always look cartoonish. Before I get too much ink onto this donut project, I want you to notice that I've drawn the digital stamp in the most minimalist way possible. Look closely. There are no sprinkles on this donut. As I color, I'm coloring right over where the sprinkles would be. That's because I'm coloring a donut. It's a donut. And I know that sounds like a silly thing to even have to mention, but it's something that I think a lot of colorers don't stop to think about. You fall in love with the tiny details in a project. Admit it, you clicked on my video today because of the pink frosting and the heart sprinkles in the thumbnail, right? And you can't wait to buy the digital stamp so that you can color this donut with purple frosting and rainbow hearts. But hang on a second, because this is a donut. The donut is the heart of this image. The donut is what provides the depth and the dimension. The donut is the foundation. I don't care how amazing and realistic you color the sprinkles. If you don't nail the three-dimensional shape of the donut, if that donut doesn't look real enough to pop right off the page, and if your frosting is just a pink blobby shape over the top, all the sprinkles in the world can't save you. Okay, so let's take a look at what I call the naked version of my project. This is just the Copic layers without any colored pencil and no details. It looks like a donut, right? This is what I mean by working from the bottom up. I've identified the most important part of the image. That's the donut. It's the foundation. With a fully fleshed out foundation, I can now add any kind of detail I want, and you'll still know it's a donut. Now think about all the trouble I'd have if I'd given into my excitement and started with the sprinkles. Admit it, we've all tried coloring the details first, and then we drive ourselves crazy trying to color around everything, right? It's really hard to color perfectly smooth blends when you're bobbing and weaving around 300 sprinkles. Your frosting will be lumpy and bumpy, but you're also going to bungle the dimensional shape of the frosting too. Another thing that I've seen students do, they start with a rainbow riot of sprinkles. I mean, they hit it all. They've got red and blue and green and yellow and purple and orange and chocolate sprinkles too. It's all there. Then it comes time to color the frosting, but you've already blown through your entire marker collection, so you have no idea what color to make the frosting. Top-down coloring is really hard to do. It's physically difficult to color around hazards, but it's also technically difficult to create realistic and dimensional forms when you're dancing between the details. Foundation first, details last. Today, I've colored a cute heart donut with lots of depth and dimension. I started by coloring the most important parts, the thick, drippy layer of pink frosting and the golden cakey donut that sits below. I waited to add the details until the very end. By waiting, I was able to color the frosting smooth, but I also had a better idea about the colors and the values that I would need for the sprinkles. After all, the sprinkles are just the decoration. It all starts with a realistic foundation, and you can do this too. This heart donut is an intermediate level online class using Copic markers and Prismacolor colored pencils. I walk students through the entire coloring process, step by step. We underpaint with markers for an added dimensional boost. Then we personalize the donuts with your choice of several decorations. There's a link to more class information down in the description. And hey, if you want to learn more about coloring the foundation first, check out my Heart Lollipop video here.